Bro, I always say, man, it was very important for Bret to be the Canadian hero. And I say this all the time. He was a Canadian hero. Like, I truly believe Bret Hart was a Canadian hero. And there's something about Bret, bro. Maybe it's the way he carried himself. I think out of anybody I ever worked with, I really believe I respected Bret more than anybody. I just had this respect for Bret Hart. I mean, let's face it, you know, the name, the tradition. But it was the way he carried himself. And you would only see, like, shades of Bret not being Bret here or there when Shawn was really pissing him off. Like, I mean, that stuff was real. And then you would see, like, a different side of Bret that, like, you didn't want to see. But, you know, 95% of the time, I mean, he literally carried himself like a Canadian hero. I bought into it. I believed it. I still consider Bret a Canadian hero. But I had so much respect for that guy. It was unbelievable.
Was it your idea to have the Canada versus USA angle that was really getting over towards the end of his run?
Yeah, that was very, very early on in my booking. But yeah, I was involved in that too. And there was a lot of heat in that, bro. A lot of heat.
Oh yeah, I actually was at a few of those events, and it was pretty amazing how much the crowd was into it.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on the whole Survivor Series incident?
Oh, yeah, I mean, bro, that's such a long story. I mean, I talk about it in detail in my book. And again, you hear stories now, it was this one's idea, it was this one's idea, it was everybody's idea. It's such a long story, but what happened, I pitched to Vince, and the only reason I pitched it to Vince was there were phone conversations between Vince and Bret, and I was on the line because Vince wanted a third party. So Vince pitched Bret every scenario possible, and Bret poo-pooed everything. Everything. So now we were getting late into the night, and we were still trying to come up with what are we going to do, what are we going to do, what are we going to do. And I remember out of pure frustration and just wanting to go home, I said, it had to be 9 o'clock. I said, screw it, Vince. I said, have freaking Shawn put him in his sharpshooter and have the referee ring the bell. I said, screw it. Like, it was just out of pure frustration, bro. Like, enough with this. Like, we need to do something. So after that, that was during the week. I didn't have any contact with Vince. I didn't have any contact with Vince the day of the Survivor Series. I had no idea what the finish was going to be. And I sat there in front of the TV, and I remember I was sitting next to Taker, and it was exactly what I had pitched Vince. And I remember sitting there saying, holy shit, like, I can't believe, like, that's what he done. At the end of the day, bro, I wished it had never happened. I'm not proud of that. People say I take credit for the idea. I don't take credit for the idea. I wished it would have never happened. It was a horrible day. Maybe I can't say my worst day in wrestling, because that obviously would have been when Owen passed away. But it was just a horrible day. It affected people's lives. I wished it would have never happened. And at the end of the day, bro, and I still feel this way, and I said this to Bret, Vince was trying to protect his company. Vince did what he felt he had to do to protect his company. It's not that he didn't trust Bret. He didn't trust Eric Bischoff, and he didn't trust WCW. And at the end of the day, Vince did what he felt he had to do to protect his company. And I support him. I had the conversation with Bret. And, I knew he wasn't going to agree with that, but from where I sat, that's how I felt about it.
And what did Bret make in WCW? Do you actually know what the numbers were that he went on to make?
Oh, I have no idea.
But it was several million a year.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I have no idea.
What was it like working with Bret Hart in WCW?
Bro, that was hard too, because you got to understand, when I was working at WWE, that's when Owen passed away, and now I had to go work with Bret. And the number one thing on my list was I had to sit down with Bret and have a conversation, because I wanted to be able to answer to Bret everything that happened that night. I was there. Bret wasn't. So that was very, 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 that was probably the hardest conversation I ever had in the wrestling business. But I owed that to Bret. I respected Bret. When I went to WCW, I tried my hardest to put Bret back in the spotlight and back in the spot that he deserved to be. Because when he was under Bischoff's thumb, I mean, he was just another wrestler. I mean, they did nothing for him. And I was really, really trying to make him special again. I think we were getting there, but unfortunately he got hurt.